Luke, can you explain the logic behind getting Clair Obscur on Game Pass and dropping Oblivion 48 hours before it? Are they trying to bury the title? I honestly don't know. I think they just think that there's not going to be that much cannibalization. And they might be wrong. I mean, I kind of am getting the vibe they didn't expect this to be like so hype. Yeah. Is anybody else getting that feeling? It kind of feels like they thought that people would be like, oh, yay, Oblivion. But it would only be like hardcore Elder Scrolls fans that are really interested, which is why they kind of acted like just shadow dropping it, whatever. I'm getting the vibe that they didn't think that there would be this much interest in it. Otherwise, they would have made it like a bigger deal. Like, don't you feel the same way? Like, I just find it surprising that it's happening so quickly. I'm all for investigative journalism, but leak culture has destroyed a lot of excitement I used to have for announcements and showcases. Yeah, I've heard people say that same thing. I think part of it also, like, leaks have always happened going back decades in the games industry. The biggest difference now is that there's this whole culture and platform around streamers, TikTokers, YouTubers, and like a lot of independent journalists, they have to make a name for themselves by breaking the story first. And so there's this incentive to be the first with the story, to get it out there, to blast it very, very publicly. Whereas back in the day, like, there were people that knew things going on and knew secrets, but they wouldn't leak that because they didn't want to jeopardize their reputation. Like, for example, Jason Schreier, back in the day, he worked at Kotaku, and Kotaku got this inside scoop. They got a script for Fallout 4. This is like 2013, 14, okay? They got a script that was used for casting auditions for Fallout 4, and they leaked it and put it out there and reported on it. And as a result, Jason Schreier and Kotaku, they got like totally blacklisted by Bethesda, totally shut down, because it was like, hey, don't do that. How dare you? It was not okay. Because there was a sort of generally agreed upon thing that established like institutional games media, the Kotakus, IGN, GameSpot, PC Gamer, like those big guys, even if they knew something, they shouldn't report on it, otherwise they get blacklisted. Now, a lot of game coverage has been splintered off, and it's handled by independent YouTubers, streamers, leakers that have their own accounts on X or Twitter, like whatever. It's people that do podcasts and that type of thing. And as a result, I think you just see a lot of those people that 10, 15 years ago would have gotten the story and sat on it because they didn't want to risk getting blacklisted. Now you see those people just putting it out and they just drop it because they need the clicks, they need the clout, they need to get their name out there and talk about it and get the views. And that's how they make a living. You know, that's how they do it. And, you know, back in the day when people were working at IGN and they had worked there for 10 years and had a good career and a good salary and benefits and stuff, it wasn't worth risking that to drop the story. Whereas now it's like, I can't survive unless I do this. Whereas before it was, I probably won't survive if I do leak this. So it's just kind of shifted. But beyond that, I think leaks have always happened, even back then. It's just now when something is leaked, it's blown up everywhere. Everybody talks about it. And even if you try not to talk about it, like you remember those Insomniac leaks? Those Insomniac leaks hit. And even though I was like, I don't really want to talk about them because it's like so early, like these Oblivion leaks, it looks good. It's a good argument and presentation for the game. Like it gets people excited when they see the leaks. The Oblivion ones were just like depressing because it was really early work in progress stuff that people were twisting into saying that it was going to be terrible, and there were a lot of problems with it. There was also personal information from devs leaked and all sorts of stuff. So I was like, we're not going to talk about it. But even still, we had people come into chat who were bringing it up and talking about it a ton. They weren't trying to do anything wrong. They just wanted to know about this leak that was happening, but it still spread. You know, it still got out there. So I totally understand the feeling that this is like a new thing that's spoiling a lot of hype, but I don't think it's necessarily new. You know, even in the lead up to like Fallout 4's reveal, people knew that was happening. Like there were still leaks and stuff suggesting it was happening.